Have you ever wondered why some women seem to have an effortless pullover for men, while others feel like they're constantly chasing attention, only to be taken for granted? You give your all, you're always available, you answer every text, instantly, yet he doesn't seem to value you. And worst of all, the more you try to hold on to him, the further he drifts away. It's frustrating, it's painful, and it makes you question your worth. But what if I told you? The problem isn't it, it's the way you've been taught to show love. Society has conditioned women to overgive, over-explain, and overcompensate, thinking that's how you make a man stay. But the truth? A high-value woman doesn't chase, she attracts. In this video, you'll discover 10 powerful secrets rooted in modern Stoic love that will make him crave your presence, without playing mind games or losing yourself in the process. You'll learn how mystery, emotional independence, and magnetic confidence work together to create an undeniable pull. And most importantly, you'll see how shifting your mindset can change the way men perceive you, forever. So stay with me. By the end of this video, you won't just know how to make him feel your absence, you'll know how to become the woman he never wants to lose. Before we dive in, tell me, have you ever felt taken for granted in a relationship? What did you do? Share your story in the comments. I read every single one. 1. The allure of mystery. Keep him guessing and wanting more. A woman who reveals everything too soon becomes predictable, and predictability is the enemy of desire. When something is easily accessible, its value decreases. When something remains just out of reach, it becomes an obsession. This is not about playing games or withholding affection. It's about understanding a fundamental truth of human nature. Men are wired to pursue. It's in their psychology. When something feels rare, slightly elusive, and not entirely decipherable, they invest energy in trying to understand it. This is why a woman who maintains a sense of mystery doesn't just capture attention, she holds it. And in a world where instant gratification is everywhere, the ability to make a man crave your presence is an art. The Stoics understood this concept well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you see yourself as someone who needs to over-explain, overshare, and overgive to be loved, you become someone who is easily figured out, someone who blends into the background. But if you cultivate depth, if you allow your life to be something layered and intriguing, you naturally draw people in. Isabel understood this instinctively. She had been dating Lucas for 3 months. He liked her, but there was something about her that unsettled him in the best way possible. She was not difficult or distant, yet she never revealed everything at once. If he asked about her weekend, she'd smile and say, "I have a few interesting things planned. I'll tell you later." No unnecessary details, no oversharing, just a subtle opening that made him want to know more. At first, Lucas was frustrated. Most women he dated made themselves easy to understand. They shared everything: where they were, who they were with, how they felt. But Isabel? She was a mystery he wanted to unravel. He found himself thinking about her throughout the day, wondering what she was doing, what made her laugh, what she was passionate about. She occupied his mind not because she demanded attention, but because she left space for curiosity. One night he asked her, "Why don't you ever tell me everything? I feel like I'm always guessing." Isabel smiled, her eyes gleaming with something playful yet unreadable. Because where's the fun in knowing everything all at once? She didn't just say the words, she embodied them. And in that moment, Lucas realized that Isabel was different from anyone he had ever met. She wasn't just another woman in his life. She was an experience. Imagine walking into a dimly lit room where a beautifully wrapped gift sits on a table. You don't know what's inside, but the mystery excites you. The anticipation of unwrapping, of discovering its contents, fills you with curiosity. Now imagine another scenario. Someone hands you the same gift but already unwrapped. No effort is required. No thrill of discovery. Which one feels more special? That's exactly how attraction works. When you reveal everything at once, you remove the thrill of the chase. But when you let things unfold naturally, when you leave room for curiosity, you create an emotional investment. An investment builds attachment. This doesn't mean you should be secretive or play hard to get. It means understanding the power of pacing, not just in conversations, but in the way you share your life. If he asks about your past, don't give him a play-by-play of every relationship you've ever had. Share pieces, enough to be real, but not so much that there's nothing left to discover. If he wants to know everything about you, let him earn it. The strongest relationships are not built on overexposure, but on depth. Depth takes time. It cannot be forced, nor should it be rushed. A woman who embraces this truth exudes an effortless magnetism. She doesn't try to make a man obsessed with her. She becomes someone he cannot forget. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be loved, love yourself first." Loving yourself means valuing your own depth, your own journey. It means understanding that you are not an open book, waiting to be read in a single sitting. You are a story that unfolds chapter by chapter. Think about the most captivating books or movies you've ever encountered. They don't give away the ending in the first scene. They draw you in, little by little. They make you feel something. That's exactly what mystery does in attraction. It keeps a man engaged, invested, and emotionally connected. So the next time you feel the urge to explain everything, to lay your soul bare just to keep his attention, pause. Instead, give him something to wonder about. Not to manipulate him, but to honor yourself. Because when you respect your own mystery, you become the kind of woman who isn't just noticed, you are unforgettable. 2. Unshakable emotional independence. Be the woman he can't control. There is nothing more powerful than a woman who owns her emotions. A woman who doesn't crumble when a man pulls away. A woman who knows that love is not about losing herself in someone else, but about bringing the best version of herself into the relationship. Men respect what they cannot control. They are drawn to what feels stable, yet just out of reach. But too often, women are taught the opposite. They are told that to love means to give everything, to overextend, to overcompensate, to be available at all times. And in doing so, they lose the very thing that makes them irresistible, their independence. Emma learned this the hard way. She once loved recklessly, the kind of love that consumed her entire world. She centered her days around his texts, her happiness on his attention. But when that love ended, she was left with nothing, because she had given up everything for it. So she made a choice, a new relationship, a new approach. With Daniel, she did things differently. She didn't wait by the phone. She focused on her career, spent time with friends, and indulged in her passions. She didn't ignore him, but she didn't chase him either. And something unexpected happened. The less she sought his validation, the more he craved her presence. Daniel started planning dates in advance. He called just to hear her voice. He watched her, intrigued, as she lived a life that didn't revolve around him. Because a woman who stands firm in herself is a woman who is unforgettable. Imagine standing on a vast ocean shore. The waves that crash and recede are like emotions, intense, ever-changing. But beneath them, deep below the surface, lies something untouched by the chaos above. The ocean floor. Solid, unshaken. No matter how wild the storm gets, the depths remain still. That is the kind of woman who leaves a man longing for her. One whose love is deep, but whose peace is unbreakable. Stoicism teaches us this. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." And the same applies to emotional wealth. A woman who is emotionally independent does not seek fulfillment from a man. She builds her own happiness. She knows that love is not about needing someone, it's about choosing them. So when a man pulls back, she does not panic. She does not chase. She does not beg for reassurance. She lets him feel the distance. And in that space, he begins to realize just how valuable her presence truly is. You've seen this before. A woman who is effortlessly confident, who moves through life with grace, as if she is untouched by the trivial games that men sometimes play. She is like a rare piece of art, captivating not because she demands attention, but because she commands it. And that woman, she could be you. 3. Unstoppable confidence. Walk into a room and own it. Confidence is magnetic. It's the silent force that turns heads, the unshakable presence that demands attention without asking for it. It's not about perfection. It's not about being the most beautiful woman in the room. It's about how you carry yourself, how you own the space around you, how you move, how you believe in your worth. Men don't fall in love with looks alone. They fall in love with the way a woman makes them feel. And a confident woman makes a man feel like he's in the presence of something extraordinary. But confidence isn't something you can fake. It's not just a smile or a power stance. It's an energy, a conviction that you belong wherever you are. And when you exude that energy, people feel it. They don't know why they're drawn to you. They just are. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca once wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Confidence is not about waiting to feel ready. It's about stepping into who you are, right now, and owning. Victoria understood this better than anyone. She wasn't the tallest woman at the party. She wasn't the most traditionally beautiful. But when she walked in, people turned to look. Not because of what she wore, but because of how she moved. There was something effortless about her, an ease, a presence that made her stand out without trying. She didn't seek approval. She didn't scan the room, hoping someone would validate her worth. She already knew it. She laughed easily, spoke deliberately, and never rushed to fill silences. She didn't force charm. She was charm. Mark, a man who was used to women fawning, over him noticed her immediately. He was intrigued, not because she chased his attention, but because she didn't. "You're different," he finally said, watching her with curiosity. Victoria simply smiled. "Maybe. Or maybe I just know who I am." And that was it. No need to impress. No need to explain. Just a quiet confidence that left Mark thinking about her long after the conversation ended. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about knowing, deep in your bones, that you are enough. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. One version of you is hesitant, second-guessing herself, adjusting her posture, wondering if she looks good enough. The other version is standing tall, shoulders back, eyes steady, wearing the kind of smile that says, "I belong here." Which version do you think commands attention? Men feel this energy. They recognize the difference between a woman who waits for validation and a woman who validates herself. And it changes everything. Confidence is a practice. It's built in. Small moments. Choosing not to shrink yourself in a conversation. Holding eye contact just a second longer. Walking into a room as if the world is already yours. It's not about being fearless. It's about embracing the fear and showing up anyway. Because a confident woman doesn't need to be the loudest. She doesn't need to be the most glamorous. She just needs to be certain of who she is. And that, more than anything, makes her unforgettable. 4. The art of strategic communication. Make every word. Count words have weight, not just in what you say, but in how, when, and even if you say them. A woman who understands this doesn't just speak, she creates an experience every time. She communicates. She isn't predictable, she isn't reactive, and she never rushes to fill silence out of insecurity. Instead, she lets her words linger, allowing curiosity to build, leaving just enough unanswered to keep him engaged. Most women believe that constant communication strengthens connection, but the connection isn't built through availability. It's built through presence. And a woman who knows how to use her words intentionally makes a man crave her attention in a way that endless texts never could. Stoicism teaches us the power of restraint. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The same applies to communication. Many women text impulsively, reply instantly, and feel the need to explain themselves completely. But a woman who masters strategic communication doesn't hand over her power so easily. She makes a man work for her attention, not by playing games, but by understanding the art of conversation. Clara understood this instinctively. When Liam texted, "What are you up to?" she never rushed to respond with something dull like, "Nothing much, you?" Instead, she crafted her words deliberately. "I'm having an amazing night. We'll tell you about it later. What about you?" She didn't overshare. She didn't give everything away, and she left just enough intrigue for Liam to want more. And he did. Every text exchange became a game of discovery, a dance between mystery and revelation. Clara wasn't just another woman who responded out of habit. She was someone who engaged with purpose. Liam found himself checking his phone more often, thinking about what she might say next. It wasn't just the words, it was the feeling she left behind. Imagine reading a book where every twist is revealed in the first chapter. There's no suspense, no build-up, no reason to keep turning the pages. Now picture a book that unravels slowly, each chapter drawing you deeper into its world. That's how attraction works. The more a woman leaves room for discovery, the more a man invests in figuring her out. But this isn't about withholding or manipulating. It's about being deliberate. It's about not answering immediately every time he texts, not explaining yourself when no explanation is needed, not sending a second message just because he hasn't replied yet. It's about being confident, enough in your own values to let silence work for you. A woman who commands attention in conversation also knows the power of tone and delivery. She doesn't just say, "Good night." She says, "Sleep well and dream of something exciting." She doesn't ask, "How was your day?" She asks, "What was the best part of your day?" These small shifts but change everything. They turn mundane conversations into something worth remembering. And what happens when a man finds himself remembering the way she spoke? When her words replay in his mind long after she's gone? He doesn't just like her. He feels connected to her. He starts craving the way she makes him feel. A woman's voice is not just sound, it's energy. It can be playful, warm, elusive, or deeply engaging. And when a woman learns to control the energy of her communication, she becomes unforgettable. 5. The magnetic lifestyle. Be the woman he can't stop thinking about. Sophia never made Ethan the center of her universe. She loved him, but she never abandoned herself in the process. While many women unconsciously shrink their world to fit into a relationship, she refuses to let love consume her. She had her passions, painting, traveling, and deep conversations with her closest friends. She filled her days with things that lit her up from the inside, and Ethan noticed. One evening, as he watched her laugh effortlessly with her friends, eyes sparkling with life, he realized something. He wanted to be part of her world, not the other way around. The more he saw her thriving, the more he felt drawn to her. She wasn't a woman waiting to be chosen. She was already whole, and that made him crave her presence even more. Most women believe that to make a man stay, they need to give him everything, all their time, energy, and devotion. But that's not how attraction works. Desire is fueled by admiration, and admiration comes from seeing someone fully alive, fully themselves. Imagine a flower in full bloom, its colors rich, its fragrance intoxicating. It doesn't chase the bees. The bees come to it because it radiates life. That's exactly how a woman with a magnetic lifestyle moves through the world. She doesn't need to chase, convince, or beg. She attracts. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." A woman who lives a fulfilling life, who invests in herself, and who moves with purpose, exudes an energy that is impossible to ignore. Ethan saw this in Sophia, and every time she wasn't around, he felt her absence more intensely, not because she played games, but because she had built a life so rich that he wanted to be a part of it. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that love means constant availability, but true attraction isn't about being there all the time. It's about making your presence felt, even when you're not. A woman who has her own ambitions, who nurtures her friendships, who enjoys her life regardless of a man's attention, she is rare. And what is rare is always valued. Think about the last time you wanted something deeply. Maybe it was a trip to a beautiful destination, a dream job, or a moment of peace in the middle of chaos. What made it so desirable? It wasn't instantly available. It had meaning, depth, and something that set it apart from everything else. That's the essence of a woman who embraces her magnetic lifestyle. A man doesn't dream about the woman who made him her whole world. He dreams about the woman who has a world of her own and lets him experience just a piece of it. The woman who disappears into her passions, who creates, who learns, who explores. She is the one he can't stop thinking about. Sophia never had to remind Ethan of her worth. She simply lived in a way that made him never want to lose her. And that's the key. The moment a woman stops waiting for a man to complete her and starts embracing her own fullness, she becomes truly irresistible. 6. Mastering his emotional triggers. Unlock his deepest desires. A woman who understands a man's mind holds the key to his heart. She is not just someone he loves, she is someone he trusts, someone who sees him in a way no one else does. She doesn't just listen to his words, she hears what's beneath them. She doesn't just know what he wants, she understands why he wants it. When a man feels understood, truly understood, he doesn't leave. Because in a world where he is expected to be strong, to never show weakness, to figure everything out on his own, a woman who recognizes his struggles without judgment becomes irreplaceable. Natalie was that woman. She and Matthew had been together for a year. She loved him, but more importantly, she understood him. One evening, Matthew came home, frustration written all over his face. Work had been draining, and he felt like he was falling behind. Most women in her place would have said, "It'll be okay," or "Don't stress too much." But Natalie knew better. Instead, she looked at him and said, "I know this matters to you, and I also know you always find a way. You're one of the most capable men I've ever met." Matthew exhaled, the tension in his shoulders easing. At that moment, he realized something. Natalie didn't just hear him. She saw him. Not just the man he was, but the man he was trying to become. And that made him crave her presence in a way he had never felt before. Most women assume that supporting a man means fixing his problems or reassuring him with empty words. But real connection isn't built through meaningless comfort. It's built through recognition, through letting him know that his fears, his ambitions, and his struggles are seen and validated. Imagine walking into a vast desert, lost and unsure of the path ahead. Then suddenly, you see a single, unwavering, light in the distance. A signal, a guide, something that doesn't try to carry you, but simply reminds you that you are not alone. That's the kind of presence a woman creates when she understands a man on a deeper level. The Stoics taught that true wisdom is not about reacting, but about observing. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen, twice as much as we speak." A woman who applies this understands that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply be present, without rushing to fix or respond. Men don't open up easily. Society teaches them that emotions are weaknesses, and that vulnerability is dangerous. But when a woman creates a space where he can be himself, without fear, without performance, without expectation, she becomes the one person he can't let go of. Natalie knew how to ask the right questions, not just to hear his words, but to understand his heart. Instead of asking, "How was your day?" she asked, "What was the most challenging part of your day?" Instead of saying, "You're amazing," she said, "I admire the way you handle difficult situations. It shows me the kind of man you are." These words mattered. They weren't just compliments. They were affirmations of his identity. When a man feels truly seen, something shifts inside him. He stops looking elsewhere. He stops feeling like he has to prove himself, because he already has what he's been searching for. A woman who understands not just the surface of him, but the depths of who he is. Natalie never begged for Matthew's love. She never demanded his attention. She simply understood him in ways no one else did. And because of that, she became the woman he could never stop thinking about. A woman who masters this skill doesn't just create attraction, she creates deep, emotional loyalty. While looks may fade and chemistry may fluctuate, the feeling of being truly understood is something a man will never walk away from. 7. The power of boundaries. Make him respect and chase. You woman without boundaries is like an open book, easily read, easily overlooked. But a woman who values herself, she moves like a rare manuscript, something worth handling with care. She doesn't allow disrespect. She doesn't excuse inconsistency. And most importantly, she teaches others how to treat her by what she allows and what she refuses to tolerate. Men respect what they can lose. If a woman makes it clear that she will not settle for less than what she deserves, she becomes someone worth chasing, worth valuing, worth keeping. And respect is the foundation of every deep, lasting attraction. Olivia understood this. She liked Jake. He was charming and confident and knew how to make her laugh. But she also knew her worth. One evening, she had set aside time to meet him. She planned her night, dressed up, and looked forward to their date. But just an hour before, Jake canceled with a casual, "Hey, something came up. Let's do it another time." Most women might have smiled and said, "That's okay, I understand." But Olivia, she simply replied, "I don't like people who waste my time." No anger, no drama, just a statement of fact. And in that moment, Jake realized Olivia was different. She wasn't desperate for his time. She wasn't afraid to walk away. She had standards, and a woman with standards commands respect. From that day on, Jake never canceled plans with her last minute. He made an effort, not because she demanded it, but because he understood that a woman like Olivia does not tolerate anything less than what she deserves. A woman with strong boundaries is not cold. She is clear. She is certain. And that certainty is magnetic. Imagine a priceless diamond sitting in a jewelry store. It's not thrown in a clearance bin. It's kept in a protected case, displayed with elegance, and treated with care. Not because it asked to be, but because its value is understood. That is the effect of a woman with boundaries. She does not beg for respect. She does not need to explain why she deserves better. She simply expects it, and because of that, she receives it. The Stoics believed that self-respect is the highest form of wisdom. Epictetus once said, "Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." A woman who knows herself does not accept breadcrumbs. She does not settle for half-love. She does not wait for a man to treat her well. She sets the tone for how she will be treated from the very beginning. And when a man senses that she is not afraid to walk away, he values her in a way he never valued women who were always available, always forgiving, always willing to bend, because what is rare is always pursued. Olivia never had to convince Jake to respect her. She simply refused to accept anything less. And in doing so, she became the woman he could not afford to lose. A woman's power is not in how much she gives, it's in what she chooses to allow. And the moment she realizes that she no longer chases love, love chases her. 8. The subtle art of flirtation. Keep him hooked without trying too hard. Not everything needs to be said. Not every touch needs to be given. Not every moment needs to be filled with words. A woman who understands this wields one of the most powerful forces of attraction: mystery in motion. The most captivating women aren't the ones who try too hard. They aren't the ones who always have the perfect joke, the loudest laugh, or the most attention-grabbing presence. They are the ones who make a man lean in, who leave behind a lingering curiosity, a silent pull that keeps him coming back. Flirtation is an art of restraint and rhythm. It's not about overwhelming him with attention. It's about allowing attraction to unfold naturally, leaving space for him to chase. A woman who understands this doesn't rush to reply, and doesn't give all of herself away too soon. She moves with quiet confidence, knowing that what is revealed slowly is always more intriguing. A glance held just a second longer before looking away. A smile that teases at the corners of her lips before disappearing. A touch so light that he questions whether it even happened. These are the moments that live in a man's mind long after she's gone. Imagine a song that lingers in your thoughts, a melody that plays in the background of your mind without effort. You don't know why, but it stays with you. That is the effect of a woman who flirts not with desperation, but with effortless grace. Most women mistake flirtation for performance. They believe they have to be obvious, exaggerated, canned constantly, engaging. But the truth is, men fall for what they have to work to understand. If you hand over everything, your thoughts, your emotions, your availability, there is no space left for him to wonder, to pursue, to crave. The Stoics taught that control is not about force. It's about mastery. No man is free who is not master of himself, said Epictetus. The same is true for a woman who understands the power of subtle attraction. She doesn't throw herself at him. She creates space for him to step into the unknown, to lean in, to discover more. She doesn't flood conversations with unnecessary words. She lets silence work in her favor. She plays with the tension in a moment, the kind that makes him ask himself, what is she thinking? Instead of handing him all the answers. A woman who has mastered this art knows that the way she speaks matters just as much as what she says. She doesn't just say, I had a great time tonight. She tilts. Her head slightly meets his eyes and says, tonight was unforgettable. Let's see if you can make the next one even better. A simple sentence, but laced with intrigue, playful challenge, and a promise of more. And here's the truth. A man will always want more of what makes him feel something. Excitement, curiosity, anticipation. If he knows exactly what's coming next, if he has nothing left to uncover, he stops chasing. But if she remains just a little bit out of reach, if she keeps a part of herself a mystery, he will always come back for more. The most alluring women don't give everything away at once. They leave pieces behind, like traces of perfume in the air, like a half-finished story he needs to hear the ending to. Because attraction isn't about proving your worth. It's about creating an experience, a presence so captivating that he can't help but crave more. 9. The disappearing act. Make him feel your absence. Like never before, the rarest perfume is the one that lingers in the air long after its wearer has left. It's subtle, yet unforgettable. It doesn't announce itself loudly, but once noticed, it's impossible to ignore. That's the effect of a woman who knows when to disappear. Not out of manipulation, but because she understands the power of absence. Rachel once made the mistake of being too available. She adored Leonard, and it showed in the way she always reached out first, always made time, and always adjusted her schedule to fit his. She thought that love meant effort, that if she just showed him how much she cared, he would naturally do the same. But something felt off. Leonard responded to her messages, but there was no urgency. He made plans, but only when it was convenient. Rachel started feeling like she was the one always chasing, always giving, always waiting. So she stopped. Not as a game, not as a test, but because she realized she had been giving too much of herself to someone who hadn't earned it. She turned her focus inward, back to the things that made her feel alive. She poured herself into her passions, spent more time with friends, and most importantly, stopped waiting for his validation. At first, Leonard barely noticed. But then, something strange happened. He found himself checking his phone, expecting a message that never came. He went to text her, only to realize she wasn't the one who had texted first this time. And suddenly, she wasn't just there anymore. That absence created space. Space for him to feel the loss of her presence. Space for him to realize how much he had taken her for granted. He started wondering what she was doing, who she was with, why she wasn't thinking of him the way she used to. When she stopped chasing, he started to feel the pull of her absence. Men don't value what is always there, always available, always waiting. They value what they have to earn. They crave what they feel they could lose. And the moment a woman understands this, she stops begging for attention, because she knows that her absence is a test in itself. The Stoics believed in the power of detachment. If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. Marcus Aurelius understood what most people fail to grasp. When you stop seeking something, you often gain more power over it. Rachel never had to beg for Leonard's attention again. When she let go, when she reclaimed her time, when she became her own source of happiness, he felt the shift. And suddenly, he was the one chasing. A woman who knows how to walk away never has to convince a man of her worth. Because the moment she is gone, he feels it. And that feeling is more powerful than any words she could have said. 10. Becoming the ultimate high-value woman. Let him chase the best version of you. Evelyn didn't wake up every day thinking about her love life. She didn't measure her worth by the attention she received from men. Instead, she woke up with a purpose to live a life that was deeply fulfilling, purposeful, and driven by her own passions. She was focused on her career, her health, and the things that truly made her happy. Love was not her goal. It was the natural result of being the best version of herself. And in doing so, she became the woman every man wanted but few could truly keep. Andrew, a highly successful businessman, had dated many women. He had access to beauty, charm, and ambition in abundance. But when he met Evelyn, something was different. She wasn't like the others. She wasn't chasing his attention, trying to fit into his life, or making him the center of her universe. Instead, she was already living a full, vibrant life. It wasn't about playing games or withholding affection. It was about being completely self-sufficient, emotionally and mentally. She was the queen of her own life, and that made her the most attractive woman in the room. Andrew found himself intrigued not by her beauty, but by her confidence, her independence, and the way she carried herself. Evelyn didn't beg for anyone's validation. She didn't need Andrew to define her worth. And this subtle yet undeniable self-assurance was magnetic. He didn't feel pressured by her presence. Instead, he felt compelled to step up, to meet her at her level, to prove himself worthy of a woman who was already complete in herself. When a woman doesn't need a man to feel validated, she becomes a force of attraction. Not because she is distant or aloof, but because she radiates the energy of someone who is at peace with herself. Andrew's interest deepened the more Evelyn focused on her own growth and happiness. She wasn't playing games. She was simply not available to be defined by any man's attention or approval. This sense of self-sufficiency and inner peace made her the ultimate high-value woman. A woman who becomes the best version of herself first does not need to chase love. She does not need to manipulate or put on a facade. The right man will pursue her because he recognizes her worth and is inspired by her strength. Evelyn didn't just attract Andrew's interest, she inspired his admiration. The Stoics understood the importance of self-discipline and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the idea that true strength comes from mastering one's own mind and actions, not from the external world. Evelyn embodied this idea. She lived life on her terms, and by doing so, she unlocked the deepest forms of respect and desire from the people around her. She wasn't desperate for love. Instead, she attracted love effortlessly because she had become the woman she was meant to be. When a woman knows her value, she doesn't settle. She doesn't compromise her dreams or her worth just to fill a void. She lives her life fully, passionately, and authentically. This not only makes her more attractive to men, but also enhances her sense of self-worth. She doesn't need to prove herself to anyone because she knows who she is and what she brings to the table. As Andrew observed Evelyn, he realized he wasn't the one doing the chasing. She was. She had unlocked the greatest secret, that when you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, everything else falls into place. Love isn't something to be chased. It's something that chases you when you become the woman you were always meant to be. A woman who owns her life, her choices, and her identity becomes a high-value woman. And high-value women never chase, they inspire. And the right man, the one who truly deserves her, will follow her lead. The secret to making a man crave your presence isn't about chasing him. It isn't about playing mind games or trying to manipulate his emotions. It's about mastering yourself first. It's about becoming the kind of woman who doesn't just attract attention, but commands deep respect and admiration. Every lesson you've learned here today, mystery, emotional independence, confidence, strategic communication, and the art of setting boundaries, isn't just about relationships. It's about how you carry yourself in life. Because the truth is, the moment you stop seeking approval and start focusing on becoming the best version of yourself, everything shifts. Men respect what they fear losing. They crave what they cannot fully possess, and they cherish what makes them feel something rare. But that only happens when you stop giving your energy away so easily, when you prioritize yourself above all else. The Stoics believe that true power comes from self-mastery. No man is free who is not master of himself. And no woman is truly magnetic if she is constantly seeking validation from others. The moment you understand that your happiness, confidence, and presence are things no one else can define, you will stop attracting the wrong people and start commanding the right ones. So ask yourself, what kind of woman do you want to become? Are you ready to embody the presence that makes people feel your absence? Start today. Set the boundaries. Walk with confidence. Live life so full and beautiful that anyone who enters it knows they are lucky to be there. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has been your biggest realization? Have you ever experienced the power of making a man crave your presence? Share your story in the comments below.